This conference will now be recorded.
You know what, Tim might have pressed on.
The time being 6:30 p.m., I'd like to call the Tilton Planning Board, February 23rd, 2021 to order. Before we get started, please mute your microphones during the meeting if you're remote, unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. As chair of this meeting, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the board is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in the minutes. Please note that there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which is authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. And tonight we have a hybrid, so we do have people present in the hall. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that A, we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. Members of the public wishing to attend the meeting electronically may call the conference call number found on our website at tiltonnh.org and the meeting schedules and agendas for this meeting. Additional public access by video or other electronic means will be available as follows. We're using the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at the address found on our website at tiltonnh.org under the meeting schedules and agendas. And C, we're providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting via telephone conference and by GoToMeeting. And instructions are provided on the Tilton Town website at tiltonnh.org and at the town kiosk. B, we are providing a mechanism for the public. We are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting that a member of the public wishes to speak or be recognized during the public hearing. Somebody has their microphone on.
I'll take a look at it. I just got the first letter saying that.
I think it's Christine.
Thank you. If you are a member of the public listening in and have questions, please write your questions down. And at the end of each agenda item, I will ask if there are any questions from the public before we move on to the next agenda item. Please state your name and address and then ask your question. E, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with the access. If anybody has a problem, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. F, we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance, with each member stating their presence, and also please state whether there's anyone in the room, if you are remote, with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Given the unusual circumstances, we will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm Jane Alden.
Frederick Senna.
Eric Byron.
And I believe we have two remotes.
Judy Tilton.
Christine Dembitsky.
All right, thank you very much. And our first order of business is the public hearing, which was continued, a site plan review for Sailview Inc., Planning Board Case 20-05, and they are not going to be with us tonight, so I'd like to make a motion that we continue this until March 23rd.
Second.
All in favor, roll call vote. Alden, aye.
Senna, yes.
Byron, yes.
Tilton, yes.
Dembitsky, yes.
Thank you. And the next case that we have is site plan review that is continued again, and its fireworks of Tilton, LLC, Planning Board Case 20-06, 47 Tilton Road, map R23 through 25, in the Regional Commercial District. It's a proposed new site plan for the temporary storage of consumer fireworks. A total of 10 shipping-style containers are to be placed on the property, 5 to 20 feet and 5 to 10 feet, in lieu of the semi-trailers that they have there now, or they've had there. And we sent, at the last meeting when they appeared, we sent them to the zoning board, and I believe the zoning board did approve their case. So we have with us, would you identify yourself, please?
Hi, good evening. My name is Chris Wyman. I'm with the Cartier Group. We're a consulting firm that was hired by the Fireworks of Tilton ownership to present this to you guys and create this site plan.
Okay. And would you like to address what you found out at the zoning board? I believe we reviewed everything and we sent you there to get further clarification.
Sure, Madam Chair, would you like me to do a brief presentation again, or are you okay with that? What?
How does the board feel about that? Do we need another presentation?
It's the same.
I think if it hasn't changed, so I don't, those present, I don't think we need it. What if Judy, are you all set with the presentation they made with you last time?
No, we're all good, thank you.
Okay, Christine, are you all good?
All good.
Okay,
Can I make one comment?
yes.
One of the comments from the zoning board though, which would be for the planning board review, was with regard to lighting, right? Wasn't that one of them, Chris? Those are some additional, you might want to take a look at for that site. And is there another, lighting and, it was just lighting, and then the camera.
Yes, it was just lighting, Leanne. So on the site plan that you guys currently have, there is a call for 2 additional light fixtures, outside parking lot lights that would be in the storage area. One to the, well, if you fix yourself to the site, one would be to the north side and one would be to the south side on the river side of the parking lot. So this would take up the 2 opposite ends to help further illuminate that space that currently is not illuminated now. The other part that we discussed last week was also extending, and this is part of the original plan, extending the video surveillance part of the security system there to include the storage area would be under video observation and recording as well. So when we presented last week, just like the same presentation I provided you guys back in November, nothing's changed. The zoning board we had a great conversation, I think. And when we were all done, they did, and Leanne, I did get the written copy today. The zoning board did approve our presentation 4-0.
Okay. Does the planning board have any questions?
Just have one question.
Yes.
On this plan that shows the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on the right-hand side where it says snow storage. What are those little thingamajigs?
Those are light fixtures on the far right side. Those are parking lot lights as well.
They're not security ones.
Those are just regular parking lot lights. The two that we propose adding is down in the storage area. So the other flower-looking objects on the site plan are the existing parking lot lights.
Okay. So you're just adding to everything else that's existing.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Any comments from the public? The public have any comments? If not, I'll return to the planning board and I'll entertain a motion to accept.
What's the condition that was all the zoning?
The light.
Oh, add in the lights?
Yeah, there was no condition in a comment that
That they
they,
didn't add lights.
it was for a special exception, it wasn't a variance.
That wasn't for a
Oh,
variance.
okay.
But you understand this is seasonal as well, these are, you understand how these are gonna
Yes.
work?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase
You can take it off the agenda, it's easier.
I think I still have the agenda.
Here,
I got it right here. All right, I'll make a motion that we approve planning board case 20-06 fireworks of Tilton with the following conditions. The 5 conditions submitted by the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS. Recommendation of the zoning board to add the 2 lights. Security lights, security cameras and security lights over near the storage area.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote.
Stena, yes.
Alden, yes.
Clyra, yes.
Tilton, yes.
Stambitsky, yes.
Thank you very much. All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a little shout out to Leanne and Janice. Both of you, thank you guys very much for all the assistance you provided over the last couple of months.
Welcome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
So that goes. I just have my computer up so I can see.
All right, did you,
I know, right?
did you hear anything from Case and Realty? For 100 Autumn
Yeah,
Drive?
here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It says,
All right.
the bottom left is.
Oh,
HMA
okay.
is on the left.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
All right,
there's
okay.
butter.
I don't know if Mr. Callahan is on.
All right, hi.
I can't see that part either.
All right, the next case is a public hearing for site plan review for 100 Autumn Drive. It's planning board case number 21-02. And I believe you have an application in front of you. Planning board, if you'd like to review this.
I guess we can get the complete list.
Hmm?
Check your brain for the complete.
Everybody have a copy?
Yes.
Somewhere.
A question from the public, is that application a public document?
Right now, with the planning board's reviewing it.
The application is a public document.
When I looked on the website, there are no current case. If you click on current cases, there is no current case 2102 or any other current cases as far as I could tell.
Yeah, it's from case. It may not have been updated on the website, but you can get copies of this if you request them.
Electronically or otherwise?
Either way, did you receive an abutters notice?
Yes, just received it.
Hello, is this where the public is allowed to ask questions? I didn't hear earlier.
Not yet, okay.
Okay, thank
So in your packet, you may find a mix of old and new information. I provided some of the old past decisions, some of the old documentation just for your review. to help you bring it back to what the original site plan approval was. Anyone has any question on that? So there's no confusion, the old and the new.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, the issue here.
You got it? Gotta pull it up on my phone.
Is this, I have extra copies here.
Well, I gotta pull it up on my phone. I don't have the application, I think it's on my phone. Oop.
Do you need a packet?
No, I thought I had it, you don't have the, I've got it right
Okay,
here.
I have.
Hmm?
Just want to make sure.
Jane,
Yes.
this
Yes,
is Christine. I'm looking at the application and they're checking not applicable to completed application checklist, and that's exactly what we're looking at. So I don't know why that's not applicable. And then the application, they checked off not applicable, but isn't that what we're supposed to be looking at?
yes.
So they checked off the wrong boxes.
Yeah, why did they put that? Well, this, we can't, this is not complete then.
Well, I mean, they have submitted it. They have submitted an application and they've submitted a completed checklist.
There's prior before that.
So if I could respond, this is a request for an amended site plan review. Site plan was previously granted in September of 2017. At that time, it was limited to 9 residents. We're before the board right now asking for 30 residents. The nature of the facility hasn't changed at all. It's just the number of residents that will be there. We also we know that we have to install sewer. When we were before the board back in 2017, one of the driving factors was that Mr. Callahan did not want to extend the sewer. And he's going to be doing, he's already met with the sewer commission. We also know that we're going to need.
We have not accepted it as substantially complete yet.
I know, I'm just explaining where we are, and if we need to add something to make sure that it's substantially complete, that's fine. We just need to know, considering it was an amended site plan application.
So you're saying that all of the NAs are because it was on the original site plan?
It's already an approved site plan. There are no changes to the external area of the proposal. The only change that we're going to be doing is adding the sewer.
Okay,
Jane,
yes,
the point of this application is not that there was an existing site plan. They checked off completed application checklist, NA, and we are actually looking at an application checklist and an application.
Christine,
If
what?
if it's not applicable, we shouldn't even be looking at an application, so they checked off the wrong boxes. Secondly, without having anything in front of us with the changes that are going to happen, there's no additional exterior they're stating. So my question would be, as long as I can see on the site plan that parking is going to be enough. So I don't know if this is complete, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, what she was saying was that they filled out one initially, and this is just an addendum to the original site plan. It really is there are no changes externally, except the sewer. And if you will recall, when they were here before, originally, we said that if there were any, they changed the number of clients, that they would have to do something with the sewer. And did you get the letter that Leanne sent out today from the sewer department?
Yes, Jane, I thought we were still talking about this application.
But I'm
And
saying
they
that was,
checked, I'm stating that they checked under not applicable, completed application checklist on the application checklist. At the top, it says Town of Tilton Site Plan Review Subdivision Application Checklist. They checked NA. We're physically looking at it, so it can't possibly be NA. Right, Lan?
We can check that, Chuck. We can check
oh, okay.
But the site plan was already approved previously and there's no external changes. Why would there be need to have a new site plan approval?
Because
They're doing an amended site plan. They're doing an amended site plan right now.
It's a form that was given to them, correct, Leanne?
Yes.
And that's why,
I can tell you why, because the site plan, the original site plan that was approved says 9 residents. And so we have to come back before the planning board to increase it to 30. That's the
yes, we know that. We're looking at the application, and we just want to make sure that everything is on the application that needs to be on there.
Okay.
And
We're happy to get whatever we need. It's kind of an unusual situation.
yes, it is, and that's why this probably was not the appropriate form to use.
Won't the parking be changing if they're going up to 30 beds?
No, no, when we're told that there's no need to change the number of parking. We're happy to fill out whatever form you want us to fill out. This is the one we thought was applicable.
We don't have an amended site plan application.
It's because we don't have another site plan application. This is the only thing we have. So that's why Leanne gave you this and said this is the amended site plan.
So Christine, would you be acceptable if we made the changes with the applicant's approval, since the applicant is in here, to put that the application was completed and the checklist was completed, and then consider whether everything else is sufficient for the board? You want to just that? Are you suggesting change the box marks with the applicant's approval on those two, or you want them to resubmit?
I definitely think those need to be moved. This is all virtual, so it's hard to say, you know, you can't change it like right on the spot. And I don't know, we don't really have a protocol for amended site plan, but.
And that's why Leanne gave them this, so I really
Right,
don't
so
think
you
with the
gotta check the
client.
appropriate boxes. If they check the appropriate boxes, I guess this application would be okay. And then we can bring it to the board to discuss.
So,
So
can we check this if we have the?
well, it's gonna be a condition.
Well, but can we, I guess, how do we?
If we don't have a proper form, that's the issue.
Right, but if they say, give us permission to check that box, I think that's what you were starting to say.
Yeah.
That we have it on recorded.
Exactly.
From the applicant that they gave us permission to change that and go on from there instead of
having them come back.
Come back in another 30 days when our next meeting is, because we don't meet until a month from today.
Is that satisfactory with you, Christine?
Yes,
Okay. So it's the very first one that you're talking about?
there's two of them that they checked NA. I'm sure Leanne knows which two.
Yeah, I have a
The
Christine,
application and the checklist.
and then I will, and if the applicant can acknowledge that I'm changing those to the checklist and the completed application, and I'm gonna initial them.
Yes,
And
that's
we'll-
fine. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else on the application? It is a strange,
Is that?
Get the hearing aid pulls out every time you take the mask off. Problem with getting old, right?
I took 2 shots.
I know, you have 2 shots.
So
Is there a motion to?
okay, we have the fire, the occupancy change.
you ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept the application as it appears to be substantially complete.
Frederick Seno, second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to add with the changes that Leanne did for the applicant.
Okay. Any discussion?
Everybody's in.
All in favor? Roll call vote.
Sena, yes.
Alden, yes.
Ira, yes.
Tilton and
Tilton, yes.
Dembinski?
Babitsky, yes.
Okay. All right. All right, would the client like to make a presentation?
Yes, we'll be brief. Basically, this is an existing facility. Again, we were before this board and the ZBA back in 2017. We were approved for 9 residents at that time. The big issue had to do with the septic system. Mr. Callahan put in a whole new septic system at that time. In order to increase it to 30, he's going to have to extend the sewer to the property. He has met with the sewer commission. I haven't seen the letter that the sewer commission sent to the planning board, but Mr. Callahan says that the meeting went fine. We understand that we're going to need to get more definitive plans for the sewer extension. The other thing that we know that we're going to have to do is obtain, it will become a public water system because of the number of people there. Although we are classified as a transient system, and Mr. Callahan has already been in communication with the state regarding that. So he would be filling out that application as well. Those, again, there are no changes to the external of the building. There's very few changes actually to the inside of the building. It has to do with, I think, a couple bathrooms is the only extensions. If you remember anything about the site, there are lots of rooms. It used to be an office complex, and it used to be a indoor soccer arena and a fitness center. Where the residents are going to be staying are going to be in the area that was the offices, and those will be converted to bedrooms.
Okay.
That's the only changes. That's the We were before the ZBA back on, I think it was February 19th. We explained to them that there would be no external changes to the property other than the sewer system, extension sewer system, and that's it.
Yes, and
We've also asked for the waiving of the background checks. One of the problems with the COVID issue has been that it's very difficult to obtain them. At the beginning of these proceedings, we did a 91A request from the police department, and there have been no issues whatsoever with the facility or the site. And we don't think it's really necessary at this point. The people that we bring to the site, we're not a licensed facility.
No background checks?
We're asking that it be waived. We have been getting them. We have them. We've been doing them.
you're asking that they be waived during the COVID crisis, is that correct?
Yes. Well, that we're asking first that they be waived, but part of it has to do with COVID. It becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yes.
going to bring that up.
I'm sorry.
There are
Is that
too many people talking. Go on, I'm sorry. You asked that they be waived during COVID?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Could you identify yourself and again?
Sorry, Attorney Karen Forbes. I submitted the application with Mr. Callahan, who's with me today.
All right.
Jane, I didn't hear what's being waived with the noise.
Because of the COVID situation, it's become difficult to get the background checks done. Could we waive those for that period of time
No.
during the COVID crisis?
Okay, we're waiving the bathroom checks?
Come on.
Yes,
Background.
background.
Oh, background, oh, I don't know about that.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Why don't you just give them carte blanche to do whatever you want?
I don't know who you are, but you're out of order. This is planning board only and the client.
Can you mute them?
Jane, can you mute that person? Yes, we will mute them. You know who it is? I think it's
It's a SP.
You
And
know,
then-
the one that says Steele.
That
Could
one's
be them
still
too.
green.
You're the one who's green besides the attorney.
Yep.
You just muted everybody. You'll have to take them.
Well, you have to, okay.
There's Karen's talking now. No, she went red. Green.
Okay,
That's
I'm,
fine.
Karen,
Oh, no, Karen's-
Karen's went green and green.
Yeah, that's fine.
all right, Karen,
yes.
could you explain in detail why you need those waived during the COVID crisis?
It has to do with because going into the Department of Safety to get them is difficult because they only have certain hours. There's all sorts of rules about it. You have to go get them ahead of time before the client can come to the facility, which causes all kinds of delays. That's been the experience during it.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yes.
In regards to the background checks, have you guys looked into doing it virtually through a third party?
We could do that. Yeah. We'd be happy to do that.
Okay,
Madam
If you-
Chair,
If you need
Yes.
recommendations too.
No.
yes,
having employees and all new hires that need to have background checks, even during COVID, we've had no issues. The state has been doing them within a day or two of calling them.
okay.
So I
All
don't
right.
think that's a reasonable request.
Karen, did you hear that? One of our members said that who is in a position to have to do background checks for her personnel and her clients, and she said it has not been an issue with them. They've gotten a turnaround within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, I understand the person that was going to address this was not able to be here, Karen Bounds. She was the person that talked at length at the other meetings and made the presentation. She's been the director of the facility, but she's tied up tonight. I understand. I will find more details and get back to you about it.
Okay, well, I guess what we're saying at this point in time, that we're not willing to waive them. Am I understanding that correctly, planning board?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
We understand.
That's fine.
all right, so you can either get a third party or do whatever is necessary to get those checks. In my experience, again, not with background checks, but with anything I've had to do with the Department of Safety, I haven't had an issue. I've been able to get an appointment within a couple of days, so I don't see that as a real problem. All right, planning board, any other comments? And Karen, if I believe I misled you, I said there was a letter from the sewer commission. It's not a letter, it's just notes from their meeting.
I can just tell her.
And so if you talk with Leanne, she can give you the information.
Yeah, so Karen, all it was I did ask the sewer commission to just let me know in writing what the status was in case the planning board wanted to know. And she just stated, which you already know, exactly what the applicant needs, the applications, and that it says once the applications and plans are received, there should be no problem moving forward. So I just wanted that for the record for the planning board.
Thank you. Yep.
Yep.
That's our understanding too of the meeting with the sewer commission.
Anything else? Yeah.
I have a question that was presented online, but I don't have a name. I just have a word, steel.
John Steele.
Well, I'm typing to them to ask them to present their name.
Oh, okay. He's a new owner.
Good evening. This is me, John Steele. I'm the owner of 80 Autumn Drive.
Okay, John.
And I was in attendance, and sorry, I apologize if I'm not following any formality. This is my first meeting with you guys. But I recently purchased the property about a week ago, and when I purchased it, it was, 80 Autumn Drive. It was a 9-bed facility. Going to a 30-bed facility is a 300% increase in the number of beds, even though there is no. Am I allowed to speak now, or should I hold my commentary? I don't want to be informal or rude.
If you wait 1 minute till I open it to the public, okay? I just want to make sure there's no other comments from the planning board, and then I will open it to the public, John, okay?
Understood.
Any
Thank
other comments? I have the sewer completion and the background checks to give us how that's going to be handled and an assurance that the background checks are being done. Any other comments from the planning board?
Madam Chair,
Christine? Yes. Yes?
has there been a compliance check for the previous site plan? Has Al gone out and done a compliance check?
I believe that Al did that, but I have to verify that with Leanne. Is that true, Leanne, that when?
I believe the conditions of the site plan were met because this was done in 2017, I believe.
Mhm.
So with the exception of those background checks, which I didn't know if they had been done by our police department, it looks like from the notes from 2017, and I think this is maybe what Karen Forbes is referring to, not background checks of their employees, but it looks like there was a discussion at that planning board meeting that a condition could be established requiring that the applicant shall have the local police department review potential enrollees in the program. The applicant has provided information about background checks in a recent submission. So I think that's what she was talking about, and that's a condition, was put on as a condition of the site approval. And I don't believe that, one, I don't believe there have been any issues, but also I think the chief before he left said that they hadn't done any checks. I had no record or knowledge of doing that. So that's the only condition or issue with the original site plan that I'm aware of.
And I believe that one of the things that came up with the local police department, which is why the background checks need to be done by the client, is because of HIPAA laws.
Mhm.
Is that correct? I
Yeah,
thought, I thought that was my understanding in talking
Yeah.
with Chief Cormier before he
Yeah,
left.
I think that she felt that they might not even be able to do checks on the enrollees because of the confidentiality.
Yeah.
But they can be employees, and I think they're doing that. Other than that, I'm not really sure.
Judy, does that satisfy your question?
So that means that a formal compliance check has never been done.
I believe that Al did a compliance check when he went out.
I believe a compliance check was done when they issued the building permit back in 2017.
I have a question. In regards to the background check, are we legally allowed to ask for that? I mean, if they store them on site, that's one thing, but I mean, legally, I mean, the violation of privacy laws.
We can request that they do the background check.
Yeah, that they
Yes.
can, but to have them mandate them turn them over to the police department, I don't think we're.
No, they don't have to do that.
Okay, but they have to do the background
Yes.
checks.
That initially, we asked the police department to do it. Then found out that it was privacy from Chief Cormier,
Yeah,
that they couldn't do it, and therefore the client is going to be doing the background checks.
yes,
Okay. Does that not answer your question? Okay. Is that correct?
Yeah, just to clarify that, Fred, in a condition of approval, the planning board in 2017 said that background check information shall be retained by the facility for at least 5 years following the date of the patient's admission and for 5 years following the hire date of staff. The question that you're bringing up further goes to say such background check information shall be available and subject to review and inspection by the Tilton Police Department upon request to ensure compliance with the admission policies. And I think the condition is that they be available. I don't know that they were ever requested by the police department or the police department ever followed out. But that was your condition as stated in 2017.
And it was my understanding in speaking with Chief Cormier that they never followed up. So that's why that was an issue. So, and that's when the issue of privacy was brought up and a violation of people's privacy to have our police department do the background checks.
or are they even allowed to peruse the background checks? Like to
The
make
police
sure?
would know if they have that
Yeah,
ability. And
okay.
All right, Judy, what type of other type of compliance review are you talking about?
There should be notes in the file. There should be a formal note from Al that says he has gone out and done a compliance check on all the conditions of the site plan. Is there a note in the file, a formal note or not, that Al went out and did that or not?
I can look and see if there's a formal note. I did look and found the building permit issued in compliance. I didn't find a specific note or report saying this is now in compliance. I do know the septic was approved. The file contains that the approved septic plan, which was required. I think they put a new septic system in at the time of this site plan. And the other conditions like the background check, fire, all those were checked off.
Bob says that both Doug and Al came out.
I'm sorry, Karen, go on.
Al says that both Dari and Al came out together after the approval and went through the list.
Okay.
So Leanne, we have that in the file.
I don't know. I have to check and see if I have something in the file. I don't know. I wasn't here. I'll have to look and see what's in the file for that, for the compliance. But I know I did find the certificate of occupancy, which implies compliance, that they were issuing certificate of occupancies and building permits, and the site plan was not in compliance. That would be highly irregular. So I will check to see if they have any from that inspection.
Okay. Judy, she'll get back to us on that. We can make that as one of the conditions.
You could also have an inspection done to see that they are in compliance before, as a condition as well.
Well, I was thinking that, do we have someone who can do that at the moment?
Well, not tonight.
Okay. All right, any more comments from the planning board? All right, I'm gonna open it for the public.
This is,
So
Any comments?
do you want to tell us what order you'd like us to go in? This is Thomas Mead. I have some comments.
All right, Mr. Mead. The floor is yours now.
So I'll start maybe with the background checks. I think that I thank the board for not waiving those. It would seem to be peculiar to during the COVID crisis, if the burden has to be shifted, it's not clear to me why the burden gets shifted to the neighborhood rather than the business owner for doing those background checks. Secondly, it remains, I think, for the town of Tilton, either through its police department or some other agency, to demonstrate, in fact, that condition of the last site plan approval has indeed been met. I would also comment on the assertion that the police have said there has been no difficulty. I think the board should ask the applicant for the number of clients that have been using the facility over the last, since it opened. Because if it has been a very, very small number, then I think the fact that there have been no difficulties reported by the police is irrelevant. So that if it has only been one or two clients, then I think going from practically 0 to 30 is not inconsequential. An additional point that I would make, I think the board should take into consideration during the discussions in 2017 that led to the conditional or the conditioned approval. There was considerable discussion of the way the facility would be operated, presentations by Ms. Bound with regard to staffing. There was a lengthy discussion in front of and by the board members as to what the staffing ratios would be. An assertion was made, and the materials are in the 1704 case in your files, that the facility would follow either the state's guidance on that, or I presume the planning board would have some comment on those issues. So my question is, the planning board going to discuss or impose conditions regarding staffing at the facility when clients go from 9 to 30, or from what I would argue has probably been considerably less than 9 to 30 residents? So I would like the board to discuss that and consider whether or not that should become a condition to an additional approval.
Purview. Staffing is not in the planning board's purview, period.
Is this a licensed facility?
It is not.
Who is determining what the staffing should be for a facility such as this?
I would say the operators of the facility.
So the town of Tilton has no particular opinion.
Purview. That's all I will say.
Well, I would ask the planning board to take it into consideration and decide whether or not the board as a whole agrees with that position. I think it is a bit of a responsibility, both to the town, to the immediate neighbors, as to what the supervision is within the facility. Much assurance was made at the time of the original application.
As to the staffing, I don't believe so.
Well, I can dig out the documents and send them to you. It was part of the presentations that were made at the time. The observation I would make is that the only thing that has basically changed since those hearings and that application was approved is that the voters in the town of Tilton decided by amending the zoning ordinances that this kind of facility was no longer appropriate for the RA zone. Now, whether or not this particular change conforms with current zoning has been dealt with by the zoning board.
Correct.
I think the planning board has an opportunity now to reflect the preferences of the town in terms of either rejecting this application or putting conditions on this application that would prevent the facility from going from, in this case, if it happens to be 30, to a greater number of clients. It's a large space. I can imagine doing quite a bit on that footprint. I can imagine putting beds in what is currently the athletic facility, subdividing that. Is that something the town wants? I think the townspeople have spoken in terms of what they did with the zoning ordinance as to whether or not they want increased use of a facility that they have spoken and said, if this had taken place now rather than 3 years ago, would not have been permissible in that zone. So again, I think this is an opportunity for the planning board to take a little control of what is going on in terms of this facility in their town, knowing what the voters have said as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. I do think the intensity, 9 to 30, is problematic, and I think that should be discussed by the planning board.
Anything else, Mr. Mead?
No, I think those are my comments. After others have spoken, if anything comes up, I may want to speak again.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mead. Any other comments from the public?
There was one typed in.
I have comments. John Steele.
Hi, John.
Hello. As I was stating earlier, I just recently purchased 80 Autumn Drive, and I do think that this has, I would say, an impact to the property value of which I just purchased. I would also say that, a care facility of like this, going from a 9-bed to a 30-bed facility, also, people may not get as good of a care going to such a large increase, 300% right off the bat. And I purchased the property understanding that it was only a 9-bed facility. I do have a question is on to Thomas's point. Thank you, Thomas. Is that has the facility really been used by that many people to justify the increase of that amount? And if not, is this being done just to simply sell the property? Because I do see that the property is currently being advertised as a 30-bed facility on LoopNet for $6 million. So I wanted to make sure that this property is not just being prepared for sale to increase the bed count to sell the property. And I've heard nothing but great things about Mr. Callahan there and his management of the property. But if that does transfer, I think it should be considered, do we want that to be able to be transferred to someone else if it was to be sold? And is the 30-unit facility being increased by that amount just to prepare it for sale is essentially my question. And I definitely do think that we should absolutely have background checks on all attendees. So thank you everyone for making sure that we do have that available.
All right, thank you, Mr. Steele. Are there any other comments from the public?
Yes, Scott Parsons, 59 Autumn Drive.
Yes, Scott.
Yes. Thank you, Tom and Mr. Steele. I don't understand why in 2017 we authorized 9 beds for an ambiguity in the law that stated no overnight facilities in the RA. Since then, the town has overwhelmingly said that we don't want this type of facility in an RA. So to proceed with the planning board looking at almost quadrupling his business, his nonconformance, which is the overnight facility at all, it doesn't matter that the building isn't going to change. It's the nonconformance that he's trying to almost quadruple. It just makes no sense to me that the people of this town have spoken as to what they want in an RA. So to subject the people of this road to digging up our road to put in town sewer and water just for his purposes and his purposes alone for his nonconformance is beyond me. And I feel the same way Tom does, is this planning board, you represent the people of this town, and you have the opportunity to nix this now before this property gets out of control. That is all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Any other comments from the public? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and come back to the planning board. Any comments from the planning board?
Is it in our purview to debate whether it's for sale or not? That
No,
doesn't matter.
that's not
Yeah.
not in our purview.
Jane, you can address the ambiguity of the 9. He did kind of question why you came up with the number 9. I think that had to do with the septic. Is that right?
With what?
Why the number 9 was chosen?
Yeah.
It was because of the septic, not, it wasn't.
Yes, the number 9 was chosen because of the septic system. It could only accommodate 9 people. That's why the new septic system is being designed.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, I've closed it to the public,
Okay,
planning board at the present time.
okay.
I would suggest that planning board members read through the zoning board minutes.
Mhm.
Did you read through those at
I
all?
did, yeah.
I've read through them. I know another member has read through them. It addresses some of the things that have come up tonight. It has addressed the property values. It has addressed the amount of traffic since the residents do not have cars. And it compares that to the traffic when it was a sports center. I think all the issues were addressed quite adequately at the zoning board. And some of those things, it is not in our purview to find out whether somebody plans to sell their property or not. That's not the purpose of the planning board. And the purpose of the change in the ordinance was to prevent any additional facilities in the RA,
Mhm.
not to affect the current facility that was already approved. Any more comments from the planning board?
I have a question on the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
So if that sewer line goes through, are people on the road going to hook up to it? The people on the side of the road, the homes further down?
I know what you're saying.
I can answer that.
Bob can answer.
Judy, yes, every house down the road will be
Allowed to,
stubbed in and they'll be allowed to plug in.
at a cost, right?
Okay, all right, all right.
Jane, do you know if that's mandatory or if that's optional?
No, it's not mandatory. If you've got a septic system at a certain date, I forget what that date is, you'd probably want to do it. It's probably going to fail at that point. And if you don't need one, if you just put one in, and if you want to plug into the town sewer, it's going to be there waiting for you.
Is there a cost that they have to pay?
There'll be a cost going from the house to the sewer, but we're going to bring it up the street, plug into each individual lot,
Stub it, right?
stub it in. Yeah.
I think that's the way it is throughout the town.
Yeah, I can confirm because I had asked this question to the sewer, because some towns do require if sewer is available that they are mandatory to connect. That's probably what you're thinking of, Judy, but Tilton does not require you to hook up.
Unless your septic system fails.
Right, unless DES says you can't put this, right? It's the only way you can provide a safe system.
Any other comments?
There are comments being typed. That would be considered public comment.
Yeah.
So I won't read them. I have a request of Leanne is to request the calls for service from the Tilton Police Department to 100 Autumn Drive since approval, which was
I believe that is addressed. That is addressed in the zoning minutes.
So they receive from the police department
They
the
receive
number of calls for service.
They receive no calls.
They said that they stated they received no calls, but we didn't get a record.
Can we get it in writing though? Just to cover.
Sure, I don't think that'll be a problem.
No, I don't think it will be either, but it was requested that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was requested, but it was dance around. Let's give the answer.
Bob says that the calls were when it was a sports center, when people got in a fight on the field.
All right.
Who's responsible to do the records retention checks?
That's Judy.
Okay.
What do they mean by record retention?
For the background check. Okay, there.
Judy,
Judy,
Are you talking about the background checks, Judy?
Yes.
We've been doing them.
we do them in-house, but Karen Bounds does them.
So how do we know that records retention is in compliance?
Well, that was the issue that we had with the police department.
Yeah.
It's not, the police department can't go in and check those because of privacy laws and because of HIPAA laws.
Did we ask the town attorney that question, or is that just coming from the police department?
It's coming from the police department. We can't ask the town attorney that.
Never asked for it either, so.
But they were saying they didn't think they could, but that's something we can check out with.
So I guess
You would have to get permission from both both
I guess
parties.
ask the town attorney the legality of number 11.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Judy?
Nope.
I just said, we're gonna have Leanne check with the town attorney on basically,
Legality of.
the legality of number 11, the background checks. Do that.
All right, for conditions, I have number 1, the completion of the sewer. Number 2, background checks. Can we, and under background checks, it's requesting from attorney, can we enforce condition number 11 of the original site plan? Number 2, can we, I guess that was it. Can we check the background checks that are done by the facility? Number 3, the number of calls in writing. We want those on a monthly basis from the Tilton Police Department.
It's gonna be 0. Are you making this a condition that,
Hmm?
is this a condition of approval, or these are questions you want to ask?
Well, I think that would be, we can get that, and we should be able to get that in writing at least once a month, you think?
Well, I'm just talking about from the time it's opened. I'm talking about the time it's
Historically.
open from the 17th, what is the 27th of September 2017 to today, or some.
They told the zoning board that there had been,
I want
the
to.
attorneys told that, the town attorney, Radigan, I believe. I have to look at those notes again. Are you getting, oh, I know what you're doing.
Well, I just want to make sure that we get it right from the police department.
Okay. Leanne, can you
Before-
follow up on that,
before-
please? Okay.
Before we approve or deny this.
All right, so before we approve or deny, we need to find out from the police department the number of calls by month from the time the facility, we approved the facility in 2017 to current.
I don't know if you really need it.
And then the number of calls they would have the records of that, okay? And check with our attorney
If it's legal to throw
if
up.
it's legal for us to go in and peruse the background check that the facility has done.
I think we need to ask him. We have to have records retention checks by the state. They come in and check and make sure we have a background check on everybody in there. HIPAA refers to medical. HIPAA does not refer.
Yeah, versus patients.
You're talking about your school, though, correct?
I'm talking about the patients at this facility that we're told is not a medical facility. So how does HIPAA fall into that? It's not regulated, it's not licensed. So where does HIPAA fall into that? I'd like the town attorney to explain that.
Okay. I'm not sure that it does. That was something that was mentioned by the chief of police, the former chief of police. But that was probably why they couldn't. But we're going to find that out from our attorney as to whether we can go in and look at background checks. Verify that background checks are done. That's the word we need to use.
Yes,
Is
we
the,
don't need to see
is-
every background check. We just have to see that they were completed. All you have to show is their name at the top and they stamp at the top whether they pass or fail. We don't have to see the details of it. We just
no,
have
no,
to.
I know that. It's still, is it a violation of privacy to see their names? I don't know.
My
An
apologies.
addiction is,
I think the good word would be an audit, a full audit.
yeah.
We'll ask the question.
We'll ask the question. Can we verify that the audits have been done? All right, any other questions we want found out before we approve this? Because I'm gonna make a motion that we continue it until March 23rd.
I would
Any
like-
other things we want found out before that?
Yeah, I want
Yes,
Leanne
Judy.
to give me the dates of the compliance visit.
Sure, and yep, and I can do that, and, on the condition of approval, it says the certificate of occupancy will not be issued until all the following has been met, and the certificate of occupancy was issued by Al and the fire inspector, so, I will see what we have in the file for actual in writing compliance, but I assume that the certificate of occupancy is gonna be the document, but I will check, Judy, okay?
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to continue this till March 23rd?
Second.
The motion and a second. Roll call. Oh, or is there any more discussion, I guess I should say? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Senna, yes.
Alden, yes.
Ira, yes.
Tilton, yes.
Christine?
I think Christine had to leave. She just said, we still have a quorum, so it's fine. All right, who's caller 3? And again, the zoning board meeting, the minutes to that meeting are online, and I would strongly suggest that you read those because it answers a lot of the questions that have come up tonight in terms of property value, and other issues.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
It's right now, the planning board, it's closed to the public. So if you'll wait a minute, I will open it up again. Does the planning board have any other comments or questions? All right, I'll open it up to the public. Do you have a question? We finished the case. We've continued the case on 100 Drive, however.
I understand that you did a conditional, you're continuing this approval. However, on the website for 100 Autumn Drive, they list that they have already been approved for a 30-bed facility. And I'm just asking whether or not you could ask them to take that down because the town has not approved it. And they're stating on the website that the town of Tilton has approved it.
What is that website?
I think Karen can answer that. The link's on the chat, in the chat under, on your phone
I
there,
think
Jane.
that's a result of the zoning board's meeting.
I think that's
It's on our website,
It's on our website.
It's
personal
we have-
property.
Yeah,
It's 100 Autumn Drive's website, and it says clearly,
We can't tell them what.
we
to
can't
say.
tell them what to do on their website.
well,
Okay.
they're stating the town of Tilton approved, and that's not a correct, I get it, but I'm just asking politely if perhaps maybe they could remove it temporarily until they get the approval.
Could you identify yourself, please?
My
Could
name
you-
is Pat Constantino.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
you're Tilton resident?
Yes, I'm a Tilton resident.
Can I respond? I don't know what the website says. We'll go back and look at it. I just don't know what she's referring to. But we'll look at it. The second thing is, I just want to let you know that we did a 91A request from the police department back in October, and I can send that to Leanne. There was one call in December of 2017, but that's when it was still operating as a sports center. Because there was an appeal, it didn't start operating until the following summer after the appeal was resolved. I think I referred to that during the presentation. So I can send that to Leanne. Then you'll have the 90-day request.
Could we please have the question answered as to how many clients have been at that facility?
We're the Public comment is closed now. We took one question. It's closed. We're discussing another issue right now. I did see the 91A information in the zoning minutes, Karen.
Okay,
So that was noted in the minutes for the zoning board. Okay, any other comments? Because we're gonna move along. Next
Can we
order,
voice our concerns, if not for this meeting?
who's talking?
My name is Sarah Gruen.
I'm sorry, we have closed the meeting to the public. This is now on a planning board meeting. We're no longer discussing 100 Autumn Drive, period. We're moving on.
The 23rd.
Hmm?
They can come back on the 23rd.
Yeah, you're welcome to come back on the 23rd when the case is being continued. Thank you. All right, the next are our minutes.
Yes.
Everybody have a chance to review the minutes
Yes.
from February 9th, I believe.
Mhm.
Okay. If you haven't, quickly look over them.
I looked at it earlier. You're on the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Any comments? I'll entertain a motion to accept them. There are no corrections.
Frederick Senna makes a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
I'll
Power second.
Power seconds. Any discussion? No. All right, all in favor?
Senna, yes.
Alden, yes.
Power yes.
Judy?
I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Abstain? Okay. I had Leanne, the last business that I have is that I had Leanne send a letter to the selectmen on Pest House Road. And in that letter, Leanne, would you send everybody a copy of it? I believe it's been given to the selectmen, but we talked about what we had discussed, the safety, the amount of travel on the road, and ask that Kevin go out and stake it for them as they had requested. So Leanne's going to send a copy of that letter. I had a copy of it here, but I have so many papers, I've somehow or other misplaced it. I don't know where I put it.
Oh, yeah, I'll forward it. So when you see it, that's what it's about.
So that's what it's about, okay? Oh, it's stuck.
You could read it.
Oh, I found it. Okay, I'm gonna read this aloud, okay? Make sure it was, anybody knows about it. This is to the Board of Selectmen, 9 Pest House Road. The planning board met with Eric and Jen Adams on February 9th, 2021 to review the request to subdivide the property located at 9 Pest House Road, which is a Class 6 road for the purpose of building a multi-use residential and commercial building. Currently, 170 feet from the corner of Caleb Hill Road is a Class 5 road and therefore maintained by the town of Tilton. In the absence of a specific site plan, the board had no objections. However, the following concerns were raised, particularly regarding the commercial use and expanded use of the Class 6 road, is traffic, safety, road maintenance, and parking. Even though the onus is on the property owner for changing access to Caleb Hill Road, it would be helpful if the Tilton DPW Director, Kevin Duvall, could review the site and make any recommendations that would be helpful to the property owner. The owners have requested that the 170 feet be staked as well. So that's the letter that was sent, okay?
Okay.
You'll know what it is when you get it. And sorry you didn't get a copy of it beforehand. I had thought that you did, but I was told tonight that you did not. Any other business to come before the board? All
I have
right,
a quick question on the letter.
okay.
Is it up to our Department of Public Works to stake out the 170 feet, or is, because we don't have the boundary lines, is that up to the surveyor?
No, it's not up to, it's not for surveying purposes. It's for safety purposes. And no, he doesn't have to do it. The client requested that it would be very helpful to them if he could do it. And that's why I thought it was appropriate to request that he could do it. Because if you recall, a prior DPW supervisor went out and completely changed the area so that the access to Caleb Hill Road is very different from what it was, let's say, 10 years ago. So that's why it seemed appropriate to ask him to do it. Yes.
And I don't think, Judy, it was for anything legal or binding. I think it was for an understanding. This Board of Selectmen had asked how long the Class 5 road was that's on there, which is at the beginning, so they would understand the site. And Kevin measured it, and he said 170. So the applicant just wanted to understand where he was getting his 170, so they had so everyone could understand the site and where that road started and ended, not legally, but just in depicting what was going to be done and how much area they had to work with. So they just wanted to know where he measured from as far as Caleb Hill, the corner or the center of Caleb when he measured them. So when they made their presentation, Selectmen, they knew what they were dealing with. And he has done it, he's staked it, so.
All right. Motion to adjourn? I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Gonna, yes.
Alden, yes.
Ira, yes.
Tilton, yes.
Dembinski?
She's not.
She's gone.
She's gone. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Judy, before you go off, you can stop the recording. This is, so I just wanted to ask, I saw that you're running for a budget committee. Is that right, Judy? Oh, she's not on.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, are you gonna, so you will be